you, but we are nothing friend. From the see the first time, after dressing dead, I'm a boy. You get anything you like, long as you alright, then me alright. You know your man, that's why I'm alive.
Your voice, your music.
Whether me in a skirt or jeans or short, get raised when me walk past. Me feel the eyes, believe the eye, me love the light. With real fight.
Baby, Anna, they say you like you all like. I get to all baby, Anna. Anywhere that you go, I can follow you to go, baby.
You're listening to WGHC 98.3 FM. Your voice, your music, your station. WGHC 98.3 FM.
Hey, Sultan! Hey, Hatan! Hey, President! Hey!
Good afternoon and welcome to Straight Talk Radio on WGHC 98.3 FM. Your voice, your music, your station. This is Global Saturday once again, and welcome to Straight Talk, your news, current affairs program from an Igbo perspective, our world as we see it. I am Mazi Oke Okachukwu, and with me in the studio is
Mazi Keke Odeluga.
And we welcome you to our Saturday program where we look at all things Africa. And last week we talked about the African presidents, the AU presidents who took a trip all the way to China with their hands wide open and their palms showing, asking for a whole lot of things from China. And some of them behaving as if those debts are not payable anytime at all, if it's going to be free forever. And over the weekend, or actually since then, I've been able to see a whole lot of articles about Zambia and how great they're doing with all the debts that they're building up all the way from China, and suggestions that a lot of Zambian property government is turning over a lot of things to Gambia, including Zambia to China, including their facilities. Somebody said about the airport, and then the government will come out and start denying that some of the Gambian properties, that some of the Gambian national monuments, assets,
Yes.
that the government will come out and say, no, it's not true. We're not going to give that to China. No, China is not taking that over. No, that just means that it's gotten that bad, that people are beginning to not know for sure who owns their assets, that the government is coming out to try to establish which one is a lie and which one is true. Mazio Delega, what are your thoughts with kleptomaniac and beggars that stand in the form of leaders and go out to China taking all these debts upon their people?
It's not new. That unfortunately has been the story of Africa.
That's a shame.
And that she's made herself vulnerable to be violated by anybody who comes through. And the people who perpetrate that are the people they entrust leadership to.
Right.
And they themselves also are culpable because they don't hold those
People
accountable.
Right.
And so Africa has been one story after another. It started with us allowing leaders within Africa to dispose of some of our best assets, which is our own people.
Yep.
So slave trade was the beginning. And the participation of Africans in that whole process was also the beginning of that slippery slope that led to where we are today.
Yep.
So we started giving, they started taking, And so when they couldn't take the African best human asset, which is our people, our men and women,
the resources came.
then they came to the resources.
Yeah.
So by form of trade.
The best resources are always human resources, but
After that, they came for trade.
Yep.
So the trade started, and as we were doing the trade,
was it really trade?
No, there was initially good, what should be trade.
Yes.
But then, of course, that morphed into
colonialism
because the Europeans felt, look, we can control the means of production here and actually take over and determine the prices and everything. And of course, they still had their collaborators.
Yes.
And so what you have now is men and women.
This next level.
Men and women who don't know how to manage anything.
Who are looking out for number one.
And so they look out for themselves, and they also mortgage the opportunities and their communities for their own personal aggrandizement.
So I will contrast that with another video that's being shared by almost every African I see on Facebook of the Malaysian Prime Minister, who was asked the question that he seems to be anti-China because there's a whole lot of things that China want to do, a whole lot of monies that China is bringing, and he's saying no to that. And the guy's answer was, look, we love China. We like our relationship with China, and there's a whole lot of opportunity for China to invest in Malaysia. But what they do not like are the terms of the agreement. Because for China to come and propose a project, the same thing I was talking about last Saturday, and win the project, and they prefer bringing their own people to do the project. And if they are doing that, then that doesn't give Malaysians opportunity to participate. There is nothing that the country is gaining from having China propose a project, fund the project, do the project with their own people.
Yes, I mean that is a smart leader. That is
a thinking man.
No, that's a leader.
Yes.
Okay, so that is a leader looking out for his people and also has some integrity.
Yes.
And feels that beyond his term of office, that history will also have to deal with him.
And that his people, I mean, the people coming after him, he's looking at, because he said, look, China has there's a whole lot of private opportunities for China to invest, that they're not going to, I mean, government will have no influence in stopping them. But if it's coming to national projects, they prefer a different route where they have opportunities for their people.
And that is what leadership is all about.
Yes.
You see, that's why some people will go back to our Biafran experience and they will blame then Colonel Emeka Odumegwu Ojukwu that he had the promise that Russia said that they were going to help us if we give them the oil.
Yes. Why did he give them the oil?
Why didn't he give them the oil? Oh, that France wanted to help us.
But they wanted something
else.
Wanted
to go. Why didn't he give them? Now, you see, if people understood what the Republic of Biafra represented, it was to be a break from that neo-colonialistic thinking and a break from the idea that we need somebody else's help.
Or that you're going to trade in one prison.
Or we have to
change a uniform from one prison to another.
Yes. Or we trade in one master for another. Yes. We barely just came out of the British control over our land.
And you're going
now we want to go to Russia so that we will win our independence. So his point was,
you're already compromising your morality.
It's not worth fighting for.
Yes.
This if we are going to be another Russian colony or a French colony, then it's not worth fighting for. We were fighting for the totality of the black man being free, meaning free to make his own decisions, negotiate his contracts, agreements, and deal with people that he wants to deal with in his own terms. And that is what Africa has lost the ability to do. Partly because we, as the people who are of African descent, have allowed certain brand of leaders to be over us until we start holding them accountable and sacking them. Okay? So when the Chinese come in and you tell them, no, we don't need that stadium, we don't need that school, we don't need those bridges, we are asking the man, how come we don't have the money let's build what we can do. from what we can raise from our land.
So last week also I did mention the amount of actually. So before I go on to that, so if you're Zambian or if you're part of the Zambian government and you were listening to this and you just heard that eloquent statement about why it makes sense for Africa and Africans to take care of themselves and have their life in their own hands, use your tongue to count your teeth.
Now, will he let go?
Yes.
And you see, the point is, every land, every nation have been endowed by their creator with all the abilities and all they need to succeed.
Yes.
And all our people have to do is look at what you have, or the bend it deliver.
Yes. We have on the phone our other co-host, Mazi Obasi. Welcome to the program.
Oh, no.
So we were getting into the program. We started where we started last week, talking about Africa and the debt from China that is building up in every country. And I'm sure you were listening, but even if you were not, what do you have to say, since Zambia seems to be going the way of China by the amount of debt that they have? We contrasted with Malaysian government that's looking out for their people and saying, we love China, we're neighbors to China, but we're not going to take on that debt.
Yeah, well, because at the end of the day, like Mazio Deluca was saying, a leadership that loves their country would not go and endanger the future of the young people in that country. It comes back to a very, very simple concept: love of country. No man who loves his family will go out and put his family in harm's way or create a situation where his wife and children will become beggars. That is what African leaders are doing. And, I absolutely agree with Dr. Deluga that we need to begin to hold our leaders very strongly accountable. Zambia has defaulted. To my understanding, China has called their loan, and now basically they own Zambia. So they have recolonized Zambia through the backdoor economy. And let's make no mistake about this: Zambia is the visible one today. A lot of African countries, in my to my suspicion, are going to be following the same track.
So,
no, it's almost like a pattern. You see, again, this is all some of what they call smart politics.
Yeah.
You see, when the British and the French came, our people danced with them for a long time.
Yes.
Then at some point, because you see, what the US, with the West will do, will be they will give them money,
yes,
and allow them to have these elephant projects that are also being done by Western contractors
Julius
or interest.
Berger.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Or, in which case, it's just money that flows into the country, and then the leader and the leadership will bring the money back to the Western banks.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody, bring it back, and eventually, what you see is that's how it was running. So all of a sudden, the West now began to say, okay, maybe there needs to be some accountability. And so a lot of the people started looking east, because China now says, we can come in. If it's a stadium, we'll build the stadium.
Yes.
But you owe the money. And our contractors and our people will do the building.
Yes.
And so the politicians were happy, because at least this way they can point to a building and tell the people, part of my achievement
without having to bother you guys.
Part of my achievement is, see, we built railroad, we built this, we built this,
stadium,
but hey, you never told them how to pay for it.
So while we're talking about this, we have a caller on. And caller, before you join, if you don't mind turning your radio down, and if there are other people who want to be part of the conversation, it is 773-942-7167. Caller, could you tell us your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, my name is Kenyi, and I'm calling from Chicago.
Hi, Kenyi. Welcome.
Yeah, hi.
What are your thoughts?
I like what is being discussed. I wish a lot of people could tune to listen to what is going on. it's a reality now that Africa has to face what I like to call the cupidity, Cupiditt, no, TY of China.
Mm-hmm.
That's the new forces of excitement coming to Africa, but in their back head, they do have negative um, expectation in the face of Africa.
Yes.
But then what they want to do is so different. So I really appreciate that the panelist is giving a lot of examples. I didn't know about Malaysia, but I uphold that, and I wish the whole of Africa could stand up to that.
Yes.
And in case of Zambia, I think when the government stands up to support the evil act of China and the ideology in Africa or all over Africa, then they are going to succeed in what they want to do.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
at this age, if we all stand up and say, we don't want what you're doing, or we give them terms. All right, you want to do projects in Africa? Fine. You want to go to Uganda? I'm from Uganda. You want to go to Uganda? You want to go to South Sudan? You want to go to Ghana? This is what you want to do, yes. Okay, this is the agreement. Bring the project in. We have our technocrats here. We have our engineers. We have our doctors. We have our accountants. Bring it in. Bring the money in. Bring the project in. We're going to, if you come with a good heart that you're going to do something, we're going to do this, but we do have our people who can do this. Okay?
Yeah.
Then bringing criminals who have been released from prison and have no jobs, bring them to Africa. Now, you look at Zambia, even their police officers who are Chinese in
Yes,
Zambia.
that's what I mean.
I was so shocked when I heard about that. But all I can say is I really appreciate what you guys are discussing. I wish a lot of people could get exposed to this. I wish a lot of people could listen to this. And I wish we as Africans, can excogitate and understand exactly this new invasion of Africa based on what happened long time ago.
Yes.
And just stand up and say, this is not what we want.
Yes. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much, Kenny
No-
from Chicago. I learned two things from you: the cupidity of Chicago. Oh, sorry, the cupidity of China. And one thing I wanted to talk to is calling China an evil actor. Yes, I agree. There may be ulterior motives in their business dealing, but they become evil actors when we don't like what we get. We both sit at the negotiations table, and we get what we negotiated for, and China gets what they
Yeah,
negotiated.
but you see, part of what I've been alluding to is China's foreign policy approach
Yes.
is a real subtle and different.
Yes.
So China comes into Zambia, into any country in Africa. He says, look, I don't care what you guys are doing here. I don't care if you're killing your friends, you're killing your neighbors, you're destroying tribes. I don't care about your human rights records. All I want
Is
is a
money
resource
for this project
If-
that I'm
I
going
need
to do
I
for
need
you.
coal.
Yes.
No, it's not what I'm going. I need coal.
Yes.
I want to take coal because I have a large population of people that I need to drive their industries. I want to feed them, and I want to get my industry humming. So I need oil, I need coal, I need minerals, and you have it. I'll take it,
Yes.
and I'll pay you. But instead of paying you, I'll do contracts for you. And in those contracts, I'm going to bring in my drivers, my bus drivers, my engineers, my technicians, everybody. And then of course, China can afford to lose 100,000 people easily and drop it on any country. And before you know it,
losing or settling.
no, they can settle them.
Yes.
I mean, and they create a colony.
Yes.
And before you know it, they're having children with your women, and they're intermarrying, and they become, and then, hey, your life change. And this is part of their social re-engineering that will happen as a result of their involvement and entanglement with them.
And I'm one of those people who think that it's okay to intermarry.
Yes.
And it's okay to get other people in the community, but we have to at least be able to know, at least be on the same footing, equally yoked.
No, the man is not going to tell you what he's going to do.
Yes.
I think, Mazi Obasi, you had something to say.
Yes, I wanted to make two observations. First of all, I don't know if you are privy to an article that was that is actually making its way around social media now, talking about French relations with especially the West African colonies, and this issue of the French colonial debt, which the colonies continue to pay, and how the French, by use of members of the foreign legion that are drawn from these African countries, have effectively organized coups and toppled governments that ever try to question this issue of reparations to France. I bring that up because let us not be fooled. We can call China a bad name, but the reality is every single colonizing power is in it for selfish reasons.
For their own
nation
state.
Is coming to you because they love you, or they admire you, or they want to see you do well.
State interest.
Countries that have done well outside, former colonies that have come out and done well, have found a way to look inward, build their strength in such a way that they become truly independent of their colonial masters. Unfortunately, we in Africa have completely failed to do that. So that was my first observation. The second observation I was going to make is, I think it is also very unfair to look to what is happening in Africa, in many African countries, and blame it fully on Africans in generality. Because I promise you, if you were to go to your village, sit with your umonna, and discuss an issue of outside funding and what it would mean to your village, there would be many voices that would rise up against things like we are seeing today. The problem we have is, in many African countries, we have leaders that are totally divorced from the aspirations of their people. And therefore, when we look at these projects that China is, a lot of the projects that China is executing across Africa comes with a very nice personal profit to members of the leadership. Therefore, there is no incentive for them to look to their people. They eat their cake today, and if there's none tomorrow, top. So it goes back to where we started. If we truly want an independent Africa, all across that continent, we must change the way we are governed.
So how do we change that? Because it seems like every election in any part of Africa, the People's Democratic Republic of Congo, does that still exist? Uganda, Gambia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Nigeria, Liberia, Sierra Leone. It seems like every election cycle, something happens. And for some, especially in the West, there's usually some brief moment of joy that this happened nicely, and then it turns right back to what it usually is.
Yes, because we need to go back to 1884. Is it 1884 at the Berlin Conference?
Okay. Leopold?
That's right. No, Bismarck.
Right.
Bismarck of Germany called the rest of Europe and said, look,
let's divvy up this place.
We've been fighting over who is going to be controlling what trading areas. I mean, that was interesting thing.
Cast lot on Africa.
No. Somebody came to your land and he wants to buy palm oil. The other one is buying cocoa.
Yes.
Then after some time, they say, look, man, I don't want to
haggling with you.
I want to be the one who goes to the oil, the palm oil area, price. And then you go to the cocoa area.
Yes.
So so that's what they did. So they now fragmented us based on their own interests.
Yes.
And sowed this seed of you guys can't work together anymore.
Yes.
So every election in Africa is seen in those lights. So it's a question of if
When do we
if
start
if,
looking
if
at
my
all these
man
things?
gets elected, somebody from my ethnic group, then he will benefit us.
Yes.
So
The
even
pro-
if everybody knows that this guy is stole from his mother
Yes.
and his father,
Yes.
and that he's going to be the biggest thief in town in terms of watching over the treasury,
Yes.
the point that is from my neck of the wood trumps every other
It's
thing.
like it's
that
my team.
his
Don't worry about
character
it.
does not matter. It's about what potentially it will be to my benefit. Now, when then he comes on the strength of a tribal sentiment, there's no way that I can hold him accountable. Even if I'm yelling that this guy is not doing well for
Killing
all of us,
everybody, right?
we're stuck with him. And eventually he will do what he wants to do and disappear because he
And
has
go to his masters where he will get a
no,
nice retirement.
that's why he has stolen enough and put enough in their banks that he doesn't really matter about you guys. So how do we resolve that? Education, education, education. Like we're talking about it on Straight Talk. I think the key is for us again to go back to the fundamental question: how were we running Africa before the European contacts?
Maziobas.
Yes. Well, I am in full agreement with what we're discussing. It is also it is interesting to see because all across much of Africa, you do hear voices that are saying exactly the same thing we are saying here today.
Yes.
I was looking at a debate. I think it was Kenya. But don't quote me. I think it was Kenya parliamentary or maybe even Uganda. They were having a debate, and one of them was vocal enough to stand up and basically say to the public, these two people standing with me here, this is their track record.
Okay.
This is their track record. When they come and they tell you, vote for me for this, vote for me for this, look at their track record. And I wish the same would be true for a lot. I mean, take a look at leadership across the length and breadth of Africa.
Yeah.
Look at South Africa as an example.
Yes. A shame.
Deterioration.
So you see that sometimes, like Mazio Deluga said, maybe that it is time for us to forgo completely this Western concept of setting up governance and go back. If we go back to the Nigerian instance, prior to the Civil War, you had strong regions.
Yes.
In the east, in the west, and in the north, their manner of governance was very different. Very different. The way the Eastern Consultative Assembly was set up was different from the way it was in the West, and of course, completely different from what it was in northern Nigeria. Today, Nigeria is basically a unitary country. We have thrown away all those things, and it is clear to anybody who is interested to see it is not working.
Yes.
So yes, I also think maybe we should be looking more to going back to when did things work for us? When did things work for us as a people?
Yes.
How did we govern ourselves
Yes.
before the white man came with his disruptive technology?
Yes.
And maybe we should start from there.
Yes. And because inbuilt in that system, as you speak to every nationality within Africa, they have an innate way of holding their people their leaders accountable. They had a natural way of grooming leaders. They had a natural way of selecting leaders, and people knew who was supposed to be who, and they knew how to hold them accountable within their own cultural systems.
Yes.
But so within this new system, it's really so indifferent and impersonal, and that is why in most African countries, people look at government as foreign. Because the first government they came in, the so-called government they ever knew was the colonial government.
Yes.
So, for example, in Nigeria, when you talk about government, people divorce themselves from the government. As non the government.
The government.
Even
Yeah,
and the government.
Those government.
The government.
Yes.
Those people.
Yes.
So those people used to be white people.
Yes.
The British.
And the
now
they
replaced by your own indigenous people, and they are still seen as those
because
people.
they keep doing the same things.
Because they learnt well from their masters. And they perpetuated a system that the people don't know how to hold them accountable. And so is it ballot box? The ruling class has figured out how to use the ballot box to perpetuate themselves in power.
So we will take a break. For those listening to us, if you want to be part of the conversation, it is 773-942-7167. There is something that Kenny from Chicago, who taught me about the cupidity of China, said, which is that he wished more people would listen to this. That's not the 98.3 FM dial. If you are getting it, is a great way to listen to this, but there are multiple ways. One of those ways is to download the app. If you're on Windows or Android, get the TuneIn Radio app and find WGHC 98.3 FM once you get that app. Or if you have X system, if you have the Apple systems, download WGHC 98.3 FM app from your app store, and you could listen anytime you want. This program and more programs coming right after it. But we will be right back after a short break. So we'll come back to you in 30 seconds.
I am Mazi KK Odeluga.
Mazi Ejikebe Obasi.
Now Mazi Okachuku.
This is Straight Talk Radio, the world as we see.
Coming to you from WGHC 98.3 FM. Your voice, your music, your station.
Listen to us this and every Saturday at 4 to 5 p.m. U.S. Central, and this and every Tuesday at 9 to 10 p.m. U.S. Central.
Ndewono.
Welcome back to Straight Talk Radio on WGHC 98.3 FM, your voice, your music, your station. Once again, if you want to be part of this conversation, you could call us in the studio at 773-942-7167. This is Straight Talk Radio, our world as we see it. And we are discussing Africa on our Africa Saturday. We will soon get closer to Nigeria. We started from the bigger, larger Africa, and what we are reading, which is that China is negotiating great deals for China, terrible deals for the African countries, and they are taking over Gambia now that Zambia. Gambian people, please don't stop me. They are taking over Zambia now that they have defaulted. And so, as goes Zambia, so will go the numerous many African countries.
There is something Mazi Obasi pointed out about the influence of the French within Africa. You see, that is actually something that had been lost to most of us Africans. The Francophone countries have their monetary system still attached to the France.
And they are still paying tribute.
And so, because of that, yes. So through that way, they are paying tributes, they are paying their monies and their economy. Their central banks are all tied to the French.
Yes.
More importantly,
using it to influence.
Their foreign policy, of course, is controlled out of Paris.
Yes.
So within ECOWAS, which is supposed to be the economic organization of West African states, right? That was going to be the biggest regional market for those of us in West Africa. Then you have the Anglophone and the Francophone. And because of the many countries that are there have different colonial experience, what we are left with is lack of synergy, lack of, we have no meeting of minds among ECOWAS countries.
No.
Because whatever they decide to work in unity, think about the power of that regional market.
Yep.
Think about what we can sell
we have,
to each other.
We have the Western countries flying all the way to come there to
That's
shop
right.
and trade.
No, but they don't want Africans. They don't want the francophone talking with the anglophone.
Yes.
So in terms of technical sharing, technical exchange, there are enough engineers within that whole region to meet the needs of every country.
Yes.
There are enough resources. Nigeria doesn't need to sell her oil. Ghana doesn't need to sell her oil. Neither will Equatorial Guinea or any of those countries, San Tome, all those oil-producing countries. They don't need to sell their oil to any other country. But that region is enough to consume both gas and oil. Think about what
the gas we're
liquefied
flaring.
Natural gas will do if no trees are being cut down. Every woman in the village has a gas cooker, and every industry is being powered because of electricity. Imagine if the dream of Kwame Nkrumah to have a nuclear power, nuclear plant for power production, that would have done to Africa, and how that lightning Africa would have industrialized that base. We have every resource within that West African region.
The best place to be in the world.
Okay, now, so question.
Yes.
Why is that not happening? Again, it goes back to leadership. Everybody praised the Ghanaian government for what he said to our good friend Macron. But beyond that...
Did he change the price of gas in Sierra Leone?
Beyond that, that's all. Yes. Everybody is still moving around like zombie, and they're all going to troop into New York next week.
Oh, yes.
At the General Assembly to talk about something that they don't know about.
Yep. That's unfortunate.
Most of them will be sleeping anyway.
We'll get pictures of all those who are sleeping. Not that it would change anything still. So, but what changes things?
Activism. Again.
But there's been a lot of activism.
No. You see, for the Africans who are listening to us right now.
Yes.
We need to move away from talk.
Okay.
Not only
you're on straight talk.
No, I'm not talking about just talk. Okay. We need to move away from the internet as a place where everybody vents their frustration.
Yes.
We need to begin to change our appetite. So, first of all, who are we looking for as a leader? That's something that we need to redefine. Who should be a leader in Africa? If we don't like the people who are there, then we start presenting ourselves potentially to be the ones who will lead. 3, we must challenge wherever we live. We need to begin to challenge the foreign policy establishment to change, to make it more realistic and more viable. The way our host countries, wherever Africans have settled, and I'm talking to the African diaspora. So within the US, it is part of our challenge to make sure that America has the right kind of foreign policy principles laid out towards Africa. It shouldn't be that of a junior partner where it should be consumer, or we throw you a few bones. You know, like I tell my friends, we don't need money. Africa doesn't need foreign aid.
Yep.
All we're asking is bring back all the monies that were stolen, and don't allow our leaders to store our money in your banks.
Yes, because that they were able to put it in your banks and you let them, that's part of the crime.
Yes.
It takes two to tango.
That's right. So we want the monies not leaving African shores. Help us to open it up.
Yes.
Bring back the money, and we will use it to develop our country. And so, and that is what one of the things. So when our current president talks about Africa the way he did, partly because he does not recognize that the U.S. policies are also part of what contributed to the migration out of Africa. So people crossing the Mediterranean, could you believe that now Italy and EU are paying Libya to keep migrants in Libya and enslave them? Yep. Literally.
Yep.
You know, so they get picked up in the Mediterranean.
The same Libya that we don't think is safe.
Right.
That
they return them to Libya.
He has Al Qaeda and all kinds of things.
So they now
will pay you to keep people there.
They return them to be put in prisons, in labor camps, and sold as slaves.
Yep.
And this has been done. And then Italy and Europe will say, "Oh, we've decreased amount of people that are influxing into Europe out of Morocco and Libya."
And really, they did.
They did.
Yes.
Half are dying on the Mediterranean, but nobody's asking the question, what is making them come?
Instead, our leaders would troop all the way to China to go get more money. So last week, I was debating with myself after I said that Nigeria by herself is owing 23 trillion, and I was stuck between dollar and naira. So I went back and did my research. Nigeria is owing $23 billion, not trillion dollars, not trillion naira, billion dollars, $23 billion. This is debt that was paid down about 12 years ago.
Yes.
And continued to be paid down about 8 years ago. And this new government came in. I don't know how much was in the book, but I bet you it wasn't anything close to $6 billion. Now it's ballooned to $23 billion, and you cannot show a single project. The Eco Island is not built. You can't say that's where the money went. And this weekend they announced that the Nigerian Airlines is no. They apologized that the Nigerian Airlines is not going to take off like they said it was going to. So that project has crashed into the ground. No, well, every pun intended. And so, where is the 23 billion dollars that Nigeria is owing? And it's probably mostly owing it to China. So Zambia, here we come. Mazi Obasi, what are your thoughts?
I already said it. Zambia is the beginning. It's going to be a domino.
Archetype for what's
it's going to be a domino. I think other countries will go that way. And the reality is that at the end of the day, you will find out that much of what is built are going to be things that you are not going to, they will not serve you long term because you have not really assessed the needs of your community and what you really need
rail tracks
for sustainable growth. And the reason the Nigerian situation is particularly odious is that with a little help, we have enough expertise and, in fact, capacity in the private sector to solve some of these problems that we keep running to collect money from foreign countries for. So we're talking about airlines.
Yep.
Since Nigeria Airways collapsed, planes have been flying in Nigeria.
Yes.
And if you look closely at the history of the demise of some of the airlines, yes, some of them have been run particularly badly, I will accept. But some of those airlines have run into trouble primarily because of their relationship with government.
Yes.
Because when all of a sudden, every Tom, Dick, and Harry with a government connection is flying first class with a retinue free of charge,
yep,
and they're not paying your debt, you cannot operate that way.
Well, and every pastor is flying a private jet.
No, not only that, part of the challenge was the corruption.
Yes.
The vendors, the contracts, people who supplied what.
Or who didn't supply.
Yeah, so first of all, Nigeria has no business. The government has no business
running an airline.
Or
anything for that matter.
They have not even run
the government, right?
Their offices. They've not even the ones that are so close to them. You see, that is the thing that really should alarm every one of us that have watched these so-called political leaders. Even things that affect them personally, you will think that they will at least show preferential treatment, maybe bring out the best minds, or they use their greatest wisdom around the idea. Okay, we have a president in Nigeria that we know has health challenges. Not once, not twice. So by now, we would have been experts in kidney disease. We would have had a specialist center for kidney.
Especially since he was not the first one.
No. And I'm talking like inside Asu Rock, meaning inside the government, the clinic.
A lot of his ministers are doctors.
That's right. So that's one.
Yes.
Two, by now, if it's ear that is the problem with Buhari, okay, we will have the best ENT.
Oculist. Yeah, yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, but the man has not even set up a good clinic. His wife and his daughter were shouting that the Asu Rock Clinic Medical Center
Yes.
was had no medical equipment, have no medications, despite the fact that millions of dollars had been spent
Yes.
to equip the facility and to even do all these things. You know, so that's that's the tragedy. So even if they're to run an airline,
yes,
they will run, even if it's just to convey the president or they will run it to the ground.
Yes.
So that the best thing is allow the private sector. What we're asking the African leaders is to unleash the power of the private sector.
Make it easier for the people who could do things to do things.
Unleash
There's
the
no
power.
reason to block them just because.
That's right. Make it, you see, again, but that goes back to what Mazio Abasi had said earlier. There are different philosophies of government. There are different ideas all over Africa.
And
so it's
a
up to the people.
Plurality of ideas is good.
It's up to the people to choose what will work for them based on their own cultural experience.
Yes.
There are some people that want centralized government.
Yes.
There are some people that want decentralized government.
There are people
who like the market.
Way of China and want to go.
There are people who want to do communism or socialism, yes, or social welfareism. Yes. There are people who want to do capitalism with some controls. Yes. So it's market forces, whatever will work for you.
We just want the ideas in the market.
Let it be out there and then build what works. Yes. We're asking African leaders and Africa, let's focus on building what works. Yes. We don't care the label. Yes. Yes. Let it work. It used to be that part of what the West sold to us was, oh, we don't want communism in Africa. So for a whole generation during the Cold War, yes, there were fights all over Africa over ideologies that mean nothing.
That never got a hold anywhere.
Means nothing to the African.
Yes.
You ask the average African, what does it mean to be a socialist? He doesn't understand that. In fact, there were Nigerians who were trained in Russia and the East Bloc, yes, with the hope by Russia and their partners that those people are going to come back to bring communist ideologies to Africa. But they just went to school, got educated, because those things are not within the African worldview. Yes. We have a different thought pattern, yes, and that's what we need to begin to use to create economies for ourselves.
Thank you, Mazio Deluga. Mazio Abasi, you were going to say?
No, it saddens me. It really saddens me that in the year 2018, we are still talking like this. Think back to the days of Nkrumah. Think back to the days of Azikiwe. In fact, since we think of Julius Nyerere,
yes,
look, Africa has produced people who have thought.
And it's not even been 50 years for some of those.
Where did we go wrong?
What changed?
Where did we go wrong? It seems to me that when most of us had very limited exposure to Western culture, when we still understood our values and our place in life, we did better. With every passing year, we become more and more westernized. And with that westernization comes increasing corruption, lack of empathy, total greed, and all the vices that you can find in humanity. You know, we look at going back again to the Nigerian context.
Yes.
We used to be our brother's keeper.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have pride in community. Mm-hmm. We used to, strive to build something because it was good.
Yes.
Where has all that gone?
It wasn't like it was outlawed by any government laws, but we abandoned it.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No. You know, we have thrown away, like Chinua Achebe said, we have put a knife in the things that held us together, and we have all fallen apart.
That's right.
But to build it has to be a deliberate effort. We have to recognize that this is our way out to salvation and begin to build it. So, back to Mazio Deluga's call, for every single African, wherever you may be, the first thing to recognize, whether you come from South Africa, North Africa, East Africa, West Africa, Central Africa, your fellow African is not your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we can start there.
Yes.
So this whole
The second
division
thing
of tribe
is-
needs to leave.
Yes.
Oh yeah, because a lot of problems we have is again interpersonal relationships or intertribal, intercountry.
Mm-hmm.
What the late Gaddafi called a quarrel about a goat.
Well, so that is where we start. And to begin to recognize that in as much as there are a lot of different tribes, ethnicities within Africa, our problems are exactly the same.
That's right.
So that we need to begin to pull together to form a block that makes it harder for the outside world to continue to exploit.
Yep.
You know, once upon a time, ECOWAS,
Yes. The Economic Community of West African States.
Economic Community of West African
States. Yes.
had decided that they were going to put up a standing army.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They made a rule that said there will be no more
ECOMOG.
coups in West Africa.
ECOMOG. Yes.
Yeah, well, so there would be no more. If you remember, when there was an attempted coup in Guinea, was it Guinea?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was Guinea.
Equatorial
Where
Guinea.
somebody
They sent ECOMOG.
Yes, it was.
took over government.
Yeah,
and,
Equatorial
and
Guinea.
West Africa said, no, it cannot happen.
Yes.
Well, I would like, for example, for regions, even if we can't make it the whole of Africa for regions, why can't West Africa set up an international court or a court
A
for
West African
Africa
court,
that has the
right?
ability to try leaders for corruption
So no need to send what's his name from Liberia all the way to the World
to
Court.
The Hague?
Yes, to the
You
Hague.
don't need to go to The Hague.
No, we don't need to go to
Charles
the
Taylor
Hague.
don't need to go to the
We-
Hague if we
the-
had a way to
No,
take
no,
care
no,
of
no,
it.
no. You see, Hague has become a show of shame.
Yes.
Yeah,
You see, because and again, it's like you said, it's very disheartening, it's embarrassing. But the reality is, let's take the issue of Charles Taylor.
Yes.
Charles Taylor had some Western backers
Yes.
until he ran foul
And they
of
didn't
some
like
of
what
his.
he was doing.
That's right.
Yes.
And then they took him to hell and put him in jail. Now,
Yes.
what about the people that used him to destroy Liberia?
Yep.
No. Nobody's asking
Nobody
the question.
He was only Charles
He
Taylor.
was packaged from here
Yes. From the US.
to go to Liberia and take over from Doe, who was packaged from here to go and take over from Tubman, because Tubman was trying to hook up with China and move away from Firestone's Dunlop.
Same way they packaged Idi Amin and put him in Uganda.
That's
and then
right.
when he was doing his own thing,
So, you know,
it
so,
became
so,
terrible. More
so
terrible than
I
Hitler.
agree with you.
Yes.
America has not signed up to be part of the international
Correct.
court, so we don't have to.
Yes.
Now, but I say that with some reservation because we have no other place of recourse.
Until we have an
No,
alternative.
we don't have a place of recourse
Yes.
to rein in the dictators running around and killing people all over Africa. And so, but my point is that it shouldn't take outsiders to help hold our people accountable.
Until the lion learns to tell the tale of
That's
the
the
hunt.
point.
Yes.
You see, we have somehow we've lost it.
We've ceded everything to
Our land,
foreigners. Yes.
we've ceded our minds and our thoughts, and we made it look like we have nothing to offer. Meanwhile, we were the
You're
ones.
consumers.
We were the ones that offered the world the first civilization,
Yes.
and continues to offer the world some of the deepest cultural ideas that the world has ever seen and known.
And the best resources in the world
I
are
hope-
from
so-
Africa. And when I say that, I mean human resources.
Beyond human resources, every natural resource. Now, France has no oil well to her name. How many Western countries
How
have?
big is France?
No, I'm just saying.
Yes, I know.
Tell me the Western countries. We've studied geography.
Yes.
It's either everybody has land where they can farm.
Yes.
That's what most people have.
Yes.
But in Africa, there's so much under the ground, so much.
Yep.
Precious stones, trace metals.
And instead of being a blessing, it's turned into a curse.
I mean, things that the world need desperately
Yes.
are in our land. And then the sun is there every day. Rain is there. No natural disasters.
Yep.
How many times have we suffered hurricane, monsoons?
Well, the way things are going, don't say it again, because you never know.
No, but I'm just saying.
But again, speaking to that, global warming.
Yes.
Africa is not exactly the cause of global warming,
Yeah, but we feel the effects. That's right.
Because we will be the least prepared continent.
Yes.
And therein lies the issue. Yes. So every single passing day,
we are not on the same table. We're sitting at the kiddies' table during the Thanksgiving dinner. So you're not participating in the grown-up conversations.
No, we
Everybody's making decisions for you.
No, we are. But the point is that we are looking to grab the turkey when everybody's discussing what will happen tomorrow.
Right. We're busy looking at the food.
We're busy.
That is cooked for today.
So that's what
people are.
That's what Mazi Obas is talking about. Yes. People are talking about global warming and all that.
We're busy going to China to beg for a way
more industries
to build road.
Okay, and to build road. We're still dealing with potable water, drinking water,
electricity.
electricity.
And we live near the Atlantic, where there's a whole lot of water that you could pull inland and recycle.
Beyond that, the sun is there with accessible.
You could have solar energy and not even have to worry about putting your people in danger with all kinds of things.
The gas reserves that are in Nigeria is enough.
Now we are flaring and burning away.
Is enough to power the rest of West Africa.
Communities, right?
I'm telling you.
If not Africa.
If not Africa.
Yep.
Now, South Africa had a nuclear program.
Was agreed to dismantle it when the brothers took over.
When Botha was leaving,
yes,
they felt like, no, this cannot be.
Can't give this.
No, we can't give this the key to Nelson Mandela.
No.
Meanwhile, they will celebrate Nelson Mandela. Oh, great leader. Madiba.
Yeah.
But Madiba cannot be given the key
to the nuclear plant. He may go the way of Kim Jong-un.
Meanwhile, Kim Jong-un,
well, if he let them, they will take it away. But he's playing.
Yeah. But anyway,
right. Well, it's a shame that we talk about Africa. Africans are talking about Africa in these terms, not because we are trying to talk about how educated and
we need to wake up.
We are trying to tell ourselves the truth. The best thing you could do is to thy own self be true first.
Yes.
And we are trying to do that in this program.
Yes.
And we are hoping that our listeners are listening with the same heart, where they're asking the same question. And if you arrive at a different ideology, different from us, or if you have better information than us, and a lot of people may, so please call in and get us in on it, because we would like to know even more than we do. We don't know a lot, so call 773-942-7167, 773-942-7167, and you're listening to Straight Talk Radio on WGHC 98.3 FM. We will go on a short break. We will be right back after this.
I am Mazi KK Odeluga.
Mazi Ejikeme Obasi.
Now, Mazi Okachukwu.
This is Straight Talk Radio, the world as we see.
Coming to you from WGHC 98.3 FM. Your voice, your music, your station.
Listen to us this and every Saturday at 4 to 5 p.m. U.S. Central, and this and every Tuesday at 9 to 10 p.m. U.S. Central.
Ndewono.
Hey, President. Hey.
Welcome back to Straight Talk Radio on WGHC 98.3 FM. Before we go on, I want to tell you about WGHC 98.3 FM. This is a station on the north side of Chicago in the Uptown area, started by a diasporan African. So it's an African it has its root all the way to back to Africa, because it was started by a young man from Africa, and his dream is to have a place where we could have our voice, share our ideas, be able to say what we've learned from the community, and tell the community, show the community our culture and what we could learn, what they could learn from us. We have a lot of Afro Caribbean shows, but we also have other shows that are also westernized. So you cannot go wrong if you tune into the dial 98.3 FM if you are in the uptown area. If you are not, like I said before, get your apps. If you're on Android or Windows, get TuneIn app and find WGHC 98.3 FM. Tune in and listen anytime you want. If you're listening to us and watching us on Facebook, we appreciate it. Leave comments. And I want to appreciate Confidence Chizoro Keke, who is an ardent listener and always listening. And today he's saying I should give a shout out to Gula Gucci Nation, one of the most African-centered ethnic nationality within the USA. I would like to learn more Confidence, but I'll say shout out from Confidence through me to you, Gula Gucci Nation, the most African-centered ethnic nationality within the USA. I would like to learn more. But
yeah, those are the Africans in the Gula Islands. You know, the sea islands of North Carolina and South Carolina.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've
so
heard of them, and I know
I
that they
hope
still
I hope
hold
they
on to their
survive.
culture.
Yes, I hope they survive this
The hurricanes
the
that are
Hurricane
coming through
Florence
there.
that came
I
through. But
pray so.
but they, yeah, so maybe someday we'll have a conversation
Yes, we
around
would
there.
like to have somebody representing them here to tell us more, because there are people like me who may have heard of them but have never really interacted or understood much more than what we see on TV. So, Confidence, thank you so much for allowing me to say shout out to them, and we hope that Florence is not a big nuisance, and hopefully the receding waters will give way to people getting back to their homes. But what I was saying is, tune in app for Android and Windows. Get your WGAC 98.3 FM app from your Apple station, and you could listen to us anytime, watch the things on Facebook. We are always coming to you from WGAC 98.3 FM page, but also this station is a public supported radio station. It's a 501c3, which means it's a not for profit. None of the presenters on this radio station is paid. What we do is we ask for donations and your help, and when we get that, what we use that to do is pay the rent for the office and pay for the equipment that we use to broadcast, so that we could continue to bring this to you. So please, we really will appreciate it if you go to our page, wghcfm.org. That's www.wghcfm.org. On the right hand corner, top right hand corner, there's a donate button. Click on it, and as much as you could be able to give, we appreciate it. WGHC 98.3 FM is on YouTube also. So search for WGHC 98.3 FM on YouTube, on Facebook, even on Instagram. Just put the @ symbol WGHC 98.3 FM, and you find us on Instagram and see a lot of photos and videos on there. And for those who are able to donate, we thank you. For those who are thinking about it, we urge you, we encourage you to do that. And we really, really are grateful for your donations. All donations are tax deductible. Thank you as you give. Now back to Straight Talk Radio, which is our world as we see it from an Igbo perspective. We discussed Africa. We discussed all the way to West Africa. Now we're running into Nigeria, and I'm actually going to run all the way to the eastern part of Nigeria, where last week we talked about the group IPOB, Indigenous People of Biafra. This is a group of mostly made up of young people, but a lot of grown people support them. And they were proscribed by the government because the government thought that they were causing all kinds of trouble. Not a lot of people agree. But their beef has always been that the Nigerian government, same thing we have said, is been the chief menacing officer of its citizens. That Nigerian government has been terrible to its citizens. That continues to be true. But their solution for it, their prescribed solution for that, is to cut and run. By that I mean they're saying all men to your tents, all Israel. Everybody go back to their own neighborhood. They do not want a confederation. They want a referendum so that the people in the east could vote, and they believe that they will vote to go and they will match themselves all the way out of Nigeria, keeping their boundary with whatever nation that emerges. The government prescribed them, and there's been all kinds of evil visited on them. And I personally do not agree with the government. I know a lot of things that they could do a little bit differently, but ideologies are ideologies. And if people are not carrying arms, if people are not doing any kind of violence, if people are not destroying property and life, I do not know why ideologies are terrible if they only present a different point of view.
Because the political class,
yes,
has been schooled, both by examples and through indoctrination, not to allow public discourse. When the colonial Europe arrived in Africa, there was no conversation.
If you disagree with me, I shut you down.
No. There was no conversation. And force. The barrels spoke louder.
Yes.
Than words.
Yes.
And so let nobody try to convince you otherwise.
Yep.
That was the blueprint that arrived Africa. And that was the blueprint the juntas after them picked on.
Had worked on. Yep.
And so whoever controls the military controls power. And
so
that's the way the European that is why what they will always do is ask for arms.
Yes.
None of these African countries none of them has ever said, "Oh, we don't have money to buy bullets."
Yes.
So even those of them that have never, ever even engaged in any conflict,
they always want arms.
They have fighters, they have guns,
yes.
They have bullets, they stockpile, it expires, they throw it into the Atlantic, and they buy new ones. And that's how we keep the military industrial complex
going
in the West. And that's part of all that colonial connection.
Because
you got to buy arms.
The president of Nigeria, the last time he visited the USA, the conversation was mostly centered about military equipment that was being sold by the US to him.
Yes, that's
nothing more, nothing
less.
Less.
He didn't even ask, "Oh, how are you people treating fellow Nigerians who are in America?"
Well, he didn't. The reporters, to actually buttress the point, the reporters in the US were not interested in that either, because none of them asked. It was the president of the United States, Donald Trump, who asked and answered the question. It's like, I heard he's treating Christians wrong. We got to talk about that. And that was the end of the story.
Oh, yeah. So my point being that they know what they want.
Yes.
And so they go after that.
Yes.
So how do we begin to make a difference
to turn,
like in nations like Nigeria?
Yes.
You have to also look at history.
Yes.
For us to get the colonial leaders out physically,
yep,
they have to be engaged.
Yes. We sat at the table.
And you have to be at the table.
Yes. And said exactly what
and
you
said
wanted.
That's right.
Yes.
And you have to acknowledge how things went down.
Yes.
And that is the issue for this new generation of Africans who I call freedom fighters.
Yes.
So the freedom fighters in the mold of IPOB,
yes,
in the mold of Masob,
yes,
in the mold of
what's the one in
LNC,
down at the rivers,
Mend,
yep,
and all
Mend
the
was
people
carrying out.
Everybody in the South,
yes,
Afinefre,
yes,
Ariwa,
yes,
whatever you call yourself,
yes,
because truly,
yes,
Boko Haram is a freedom. They
believe
they're fighting for the freedom of their people.
Yes.
Now, what needs to happen in Nigeria is a sit down.
Yes.
For everybody to express their feelings. And so
haven't we done that before?
No. I'm not talking about conferences
okay,
where the reports are not put out.
Okay.
But there has to be a conversation. Now, Boko Haram wants to take the Northeast, which is the old
they have taken the Northeast.
The old Kanembonu. They want to go.
Right.
If they want to go and people feel this is what the people in that area feel, that these are the people you want to govern you, you
Then
go.
let them go.
You let them go.
Yes.
Whoever wants to go should go.
Right.
Now, within the East,
Yes.
the challenge is, like I was asking somebody today, he says, we demand restructuring.
From who?
And I said, you need to
Who are
define
you?
for me,
Who are we?
who are the we? What are we demanding?
Yes.
And how and where?
How did we get to that?
How and where
Yes.
are we going to make those demands?
Yes.
Now, because I keep going back to this
Yes.
this age-old idiom.
Yes.
So IPOP tells everybody sit at home.
Yes.
Everybody sat at home.
Yes. And then what?
And then what?
So I sat at home. Then
no.
what?
Did he change
The price of Gary.
Okay. Did that change the fact that the schools are not, the public schools in Anibo are not working for the people, that everybody...
My believing friends will tell me that shows the power of IPOP.
No, you have power, but you have no influence.
Yes.
Power, people can stay home because they feel...
It's like the spirit without the body.
No. They feel that if they come out, you beat them up.
Yeah, you'll be causing all kinds of nuisance. I might as well just get out.
So, but do you have the influence? And that is what the issue is.
Are you changing minds?
If you have influence,
yes,
then what about the mother through the political process into the local government?
Yes,
into the state assembly, the government house.
Yes,
send them to the National Congress. When they get there, they will be speaking for you.
So, Mazio Basi, get into this conversation. Are you still talking? Oh, hold on 1 second. I think we got... Go ahead, Mazio Basi. Are you on mute? All right.
Okay, no, sorry. Yes, okay. I was muted. Yeah,
all right, so, go for it.
I was amused because think of the concept of a lion in a cage.
Yes.
The lion can roar, and everybody sees its power.
Yes.
But it's caged.
It's still caged.
Until
my God!
Out of that cage.
I think my Angela comes to mind.
Roar as loud as it likes. Nothing changes.
Yes.
You cannot be a quote-unquote potential threat. You have to actually be a real threat.
Yes.
And the saddest part of this, which IPOB themselves have failed to see, is that when they had recruited a very large population of people from the southeast and south to their cause, they were a real threat to the political system.
Which is why they got them prescribed.
That is why Python dance happened.
Mm-hmm.
That is why you are prescribed. Today, you ask people to stay at home. You get young people to march in the street.
They dance.
Not realizing that the army could come and shoot all of them and you could do deadly squad.
And just like what happened in Python dance, nothing.
That's the point. For you to become a real threat, like you were a while back, you have to again engage. You have to engage, and this time engage smartly. I promise you, I would like to see IPOB come out. Elections are next year. It's not late.
Yes.
I would like to see IPOB come out and really make a strong campaign for people to say, vote for Mr. A or vote for Mr. B, because this is the man who will help us realize Biafra.
Or whatever
they
objective.
Want. Or whatever they want.
You could start small.
You know, the point I'm trying to make is, why are you so afraid of engaging?
Yes.
Why are you so afraid of engaging?
Because now, what these times require, and what he has always required, both smartness.
A big brawn and a smart
got that?
smart head carrying the
Kita
brawn.
abro nsobu announce na nke nsobu akọ na uche.
Bunu. We said that before. This is bunu. Not
Akọ na uche.
Let me point out something.
Yes.
If you go and look at the elections that have been held so far,
yes,
look at the Ekiti.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
This is disastrous.
Look at, in fact, go and look at quote unquote local government elections in Imo State.
Yes.
In all of the recent elections, these elections have been bought.
Yes.
I do not have any doubt that come 2019,
that it will not be bought.
The elections again will be won by people who have the ability to use money as political speech.
To invest.
As we say in America.
Yes.
The only way for you to act as a reasonable counterbalance,
yes,
is to have
somebody
an organization with people who are very dedicated and cannot be bought.
Yes.
IPOB had that kind of followership.
Yes.
I don't know among their leadership, but I can assure you, among the majority of ordinary people who ascribe to the IPOB ideology, they were willing to shun everything, go through hardship to make that point.
They were willing to lay down their lives.
Well, so can you begin to see how and why IPOB becomes a very important counterbalance? And it doesn't necessarily have to be IPOB. Let me say that. I am using IPOB as a metaphor, but
as an archetype, yeah.
It is, look, you have to have people who are fired up ideologically.
Yes.
Who will say to you, take your money and shove it where the sun don't shine, because we are not going to be bought this time around.
Yes.
So I was watching some of the videos that always surface on WhatsApp and Facebook, and I see this preacher, and I mean at first when I'm thinking, well, is it that I don't get enough preaching, or that somebody think my sin is too much that now they're sending me more preachers? But it turned out that this preacher, who's actually holding a Bible and started talking about what's going on, actually is an IPOB member, because he started preaching IPOB in the middle of a market. In this market, in the video, there's a puddle of muddy water in between him and some of the listeners who have gathered, and people who are walking across also in the middle of the market. And he complained about the conditions of the market. He complained about how people are lavishing in the market, trying to get their things done with the puddle in the middle. And by the way, those who are representing them are away living lavish lives, and how they are not helping them. And he concluded his message by telling them that their promised land is coming, that they are going to Biafra. And I'm thinking, how does this guy make this leap? I don't think that speech would have worked for the Israelites when they were in Egypt. If you came there and painted this kind of picture with a big chasm in between.
No, you see, and that is the challenge with this liberation gospel of, let my people go.
Yes.
Now,
where are they going?
No. They let my people go means you're leaving a place to go to another place.
Yes.
In the scenario we have in Nigeria,
where are you going?
We're not leaving the land.
You're staying in the same land.
Therefore,
excuse me.
Therefore,
yes.
So you have to first take care of
where you are, because that's where you're you're not going anywhere
so
else.
What you would have been telling the people, the people in the market is, okay, who is responsible to fixing this mess here?
Yes.
Okay, is he doing his work? No. We need to replace him.
Yes.
Who will go for us? Okay, I'll go. Are you the best qualified?
And we found you. Send you, we're holding you accountable.
That's right. So we send you and we hold you accountable. IPOB and organizations like IPOB, the problem that they have, all these socio-political, socio-cultural groups, or Hanezo, ADF, or LNC, unu no on a side na akọ. The point is no onye jiji.
Possession is 90% of the
You
law.
see, and two, ọbụ na ijideji Jidemma.
Onye
bụ igu ka ego na-eso.
Yes.
Nke nwakọrọ na-agwafa na anwa ebe ejekọ.
Onye kwuyero kwuri etu o si ekwu.
Ịghọtago?
Si na nwere ife nkịta ji eso onye afọ ukwu.
Yes. Onyere amụ ọgbọ. So the point is, why would the people follow you where you have not demonstrated any that you can bring about a change in their condition? Yes. So it's either you are involved in some running of some organization that is making their life different, or you are part of the electoral, the political system, changing it and transforming it from the inside.
Even if you're not yet part of the electoral process, what I'm thinking is this, right? I'm practical. You're watching this puddle in the middle. You're talking about how bad it is, and you want to get to Biafra, and you have this listening audience. It is easy with these people who are enamored by your speech and by your ideas to say, you know what? We're going to fix this to show these people that we don't want this anymore. We're going to fix it. We're going to keep it right. And then now that we fixed it, we're going to make sure that the guy who's not doing this job is held accountable. One of the ways we do that is we are replacing him next time.
Yes.
And this is who is going to replace him. Mm-hmm. You could get people participating, because in that participation, you build a community. But if you're going to build spectators and speakers, people will continue to listen.
And that is the thing that I keep challenging, that I see. I said, nobody is moving the dial. Now, let's look at the politics of national conference, political reform, constitutional conferences, right?
Yes.
I will give this to the former president, OBJ. Yes. During his regime, he did two very important things, yes, that Nigeria has not done subsequently.
Yes.
One, he had a truth and reconciliation, the Oputa panel.
Yep.
Much as we didn't see the report, but there was
saw the light of day.
But there is a report somewhere.
Yes.
Two, he had a national conference, and there were so many things that were recommended.
Yes.
And he passed it on to the National Assembly.
Did absolutely nothing.
Why? What happened?
Yep.
He got to the National Assembly.
Died.
Our man, Nnamani, was the Senate leader, yes, at that time, Senate president, and he died there. Yep. Why did he die there? Because everybody was so focused on the recommendation for the third term.
Yes.
Instead of taking care of every recommendation and having a up and down vote.
A public discourse. I actually make it available to the
up and down vote on one issue, on each issue.
Yes.
Everything rose and fell on whether there was going to be a third term. Yeah. And so because of that, they scuffled it.
Life presidency.
You see, again, poor leadership.
Yes.
And from the IPOB,
oh yes. Oh, you mentioned yes.
But this is the other issue.
Yes.
From this, you learn what is the process of change.
Yes.
There has to be some kind of national discussion, and then people have to vote somewhere.
Yes.
So whichever way you look at it, there's going to be a political process involved.
A process. So it's like germination. You can't just grow things without putting it to the ground and doing what.
So if you as IPOB, for example, or any organization like IPOB, like myself, as I say, if you don't learn the process and participate and engage in it,
if you're not on
and the point is, like Mazobas rightly described,
yes,
the person who is outside of that house,
yes,
is hearing the roaring of the lion. But the
lion is caged.
But the man inside the room knows that the lion is caged. So in fact, he's okay. So what are we saying? You can only uncage yourself.
Yes. Until you release yourself. Nobody has.
Unleash your resources and unleash your abilities and participate in the process. If Nnamdi Kanu had mobilized IPOP members to participate in the Anambra election,
yeah,
maybe we would have had a different result.
Yes.
Maybe. And what we're talking about,
continue to wonder.
That's right. And the moment you serve up this within an Igbo, that people are elected not based on political party or who they know,
but they are held accountable.
And that they are elected because they're endorsed by IPOP or the people.
Yes.
Because one of the things IPOP have demonstrated, and we should give it to them, is that it's a grassroots.
They have an ear. They have.
It's a grassroots organization.
It's a mushroom organization.
It's a typical Igbo organization that is built from the bottoms up.
Yes.
So
Usilivike. Yes.
Come on, no, like Agu. Now,
I think no Solomon.
Agu Abachile.
So his wisdom say
yes.
So emancipation on the slave by Lincoln was just a piece of paper.
Yes.
But Nyaka Bob Marley say emancipate yourself from mental slavery, because that's what we're suffering.
Yes.
If we continue to dance this dance and show muscle and flex, but yet we can't lift a stone from here to there, we're wasting our time and wasting other people's time. And as soon as the people realize you're wasting their time, you lost them.
Yes.
So while you get the attention of the people, do something good. March towards a goal that makes sense and tell them that there's going to be a process from here to there. Mm-hmm. You don't magically get over the puddle in the middle of the market and get to promised land. You are not living where you live. You are not going to leave and pack up and go somewhere else. You are living in that space. Wachie bibi.
That's right.
Plant flowers, bibi, komama.
Yeah.
Make the place a good place for you. And the way to do that is to engage and
yes. And then demonstrate to the people that
yes,
you can get it done. You see, and that is the challenge that needs in the man. No. They are everybody's frustrated. There's a very myriad of reasons why people even stay home, because
stress. I will just stay home today because I don't want to add another stress to my life.
That's right. Yes. And plus the fact that the police is roaming the whole area.
Now police
So, and I'm not saying that they don't have the clout that they have.
They have nothing to do with clout.
They do have some
flex. What is he flexing for? That muscle is not being used.
Yeah. So lugo no mume. Makana na ekwu na emegere. Ana eme. No onye kwu ife ọ na-atọ ka no na-atọ ụtọ kwu ife ọ na-atọ ka. That's right.
Yes.
You know, so again, elections are election, my LNC,
yes,
the Lower Niger Congress,
yes,
and all the
Ohanese who are here that IPOB is prescribing now. I don't know how they do that. But
no, that one is laughable.
Yes,
because
that's why I'm laughing. Yes,
but the point, Bo, for those who are my friends that are saying that the best thing is not to have elections, and they suspend the constitution,
yes,
and in 2 years have a transitional government in 2 years. For 2 years,
what happens in that blind spot for 2 years?
And then the idea of asking Nigerians to be stuck for the next 2 years with PMB is
because if you suspend the constitution, what gives anybody a fertile ground for us to have a lot of warlords?
No,
because for 2 years you have nothing.
You create a constitutional crisis. So that idea.
Yes.
So, but they said, oh, it was done in South Africa.
How did that happen?
No, South Africa, what both did.
Yes.
He was the one in charge.
Yes.
He says, okay, we're not going to have any elections for in the.
But I'm still going to continue.
That's right. In the next 2 years,
right,
we will have a referendum. We have a constitutional conference, and so the parliament drafted a new constitution.
But they did not suspend the constitution. They stuck with the one they had.
Yeah, and so they worked it out. They already have something to work out.
Yes.
Nigeria has never been in that space. We have never been in a place where you ask everybody, okay, let's have a transitional committee. It didn't go down well with Shonikon, because before you knew it, Abacha just said, pushed him aside and sat on the seat.
And that's exactly, if you try what you're talking about, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Because when Kaki boys are still around, and they are the ones running around with our mother.
If you look now for the East, where you see how the Kanye board. So
Now I am one of Kaki boys. They are retired this and that. That's right. So in our see, let them not vote. Elections have happened in Anambra, happened at Ekiti, now it happened at Oshun. It will happen in February. So
actually, I neck our because if you some of the videos in there for on the iPod, a video for I liked so much. It was two of them from INEC.
Yes.
One guy in Atane Ego showing the person the money he got from being bought by a politician.
Yes.
The guy said, look, I thought as big as you are and as good looking as you are that you were smart. Now I know you're not smart because you've sold your birthright for the next 4 years. And at the end, it was actually it was produced by INEC telling people not to sell their votes.
And INEC did something with this Oshun election. They banned cell phones from coming into the polling, the ballot area.
Because people were using it to show what.
So because the new system is show me your vote and I'll give you the money. So the politicians are asking the people,
you gotta show me.
You have to show me that. Take a picture of your voting card so that I'll be sure that you voted for me. Before we'll give you the bribe.
Before it's pay to play. Now it's play and get paid.
Yes. Which is fraught with problem.
Yes.
But that is the system.
Yes.
And because the people, I watched a video.
Yes.
Somebody in Osun State, and I think he's one of the gubernatorial candidates.
Yes.
It had a big fanfare. There was music. There was a band that was playing, and so the women will all line up, and there were heaps of cloth, abada cloth.
Yes.
So each woman will get a headscarf, and some will get abada cloth, right?
Yes.
And then he was just standing in the above the Buddha, saying in the full view of Igwemad, distributing
abada cloth.
No money.
Oh.
And he's the gubernatorial candidate.
He's making an investment that he's going to collect for the next 4 years.
The point is, in INEC books, that in itself,
it's against the law.
It's against the law.
Who's going to?
If you look at INEC books, there has to be audit about how much you spend. There's a limit on how much you spend for an election, how you get your money. Not get. Oh, there are campaign finance laws. There are campaign. About people corrupted.
Has enforced any one of those?
That is the point. Because if any
has ever been tried
your friend.
Also, INEC produced another video with somebody in the north where he had these young boys that he has paid to go disrupt the election. And while he's paid them and given them beer and weapons, his wife and children who came from abroad because away. We're trying to get in the car to go vote. He turned them around and said, I don't need your vote. I have these boys to take care of it for me. While he was saying that it was in the full view of the boys that he's got. So these guys left his palace, went outside, and the chief ringleader turned around to them and said, look, you heard what he said to his children, who he's going to send abroad, that he doesn't need them, but he wants to useless your life and mine by sending us to go kill our own people and menace our own people so that he wins to continue perpetuating the same thing on us. He says, guys, I'm not doing this, and I suggest you guys. And they put down their weapons and stuff and decided they were going to go vote for the right person. Now, and he came up again that it was produced by INEC. Great messages. It shows me that everybody in Nigeria, even INEC, even the people that we think may be deaf to some of the plights, know what's going on. And they are making their effort on their end. What effort are you making on your end to match theirs and make sure that you have a better Nigeria?
But you see, INEC
is making half an effort.
No. You see,
quarter an effort.
Until INEC starts jailing their own people for changing the figures.
Yes.
Until INEC now
that's trying.
It's not asking for no cameras. You should have cameras in every collecting site,
yes,
and every vote is counted in front of the camera.
No hanging
and could be played again.
Yes,
and every paper has to be first seen on camera as clean
as possible.
You know how Chicago police has to interview suspects on video, and nothing collected on video will be admissible in court.
Yes,
that is the way INEC needs to collect results. So they put out great messages because look, our people are very smart. We learn systems. We know how to put these facades. But man, but yes, we trust. I think they're improving in the way they do their work. But what we want to they have to demonstrate to Nigerians that they are serious, that their votes count, and that the corruptedness among the INEC officials and appointed return electoral officers that is curbed, which means many of them Nesi Rod. If Krikri is full of INEC officials who have corrupted themselves. That's right. That's right. So when people now no longer clamor for INEC job because you can easily go to jail, then that would be good.
All right, we have 2 minutes. Mazi Obasi it's left us. No, actually, I want to say that differently. Mazi Obasi has dropped on the line, and we're going to close out in 1 minute. Mazi Odelga.
Iwo. Obasinta. Kaichwa nogolenchi. Anu nata. Echibunta.
Yes.
Ka anyị ghara ịnọ na mmiri ncha baa ya anya. Onye ọbụla saa anya. Sakwa na anya. Because na oke onye bụ anya. So if we want to get what we need, we have to be where it is being distributed.
Have to sit at the table.
We must be at the table.
You have to be part of the
conversation. And our vote is what guarantees that we are at the table. Let's vote and elect those we know who will make a difference.
So ma gwa ndị na-ege m ntị so unu nazie ka unu gwa ndị ya adị ọ ekwu na-eme ọnụ mana anụghị anụ na-eme ntị ekwuona m nke m and I'll do what I have to. The only thing na-ayọzi ndị na-ege m ntị, do your part. Ị nọ na-ege ntị na-ekwu okwu Chukwu etu ihe si je promised land. Promised land ọzọ ị nọ na the promised land right now. Ife mee na ọ wụ promise to you na gịnwa onye kpọọ bụ ya mkpọkọrọ ewelu na ya kpọọ afịfịa. So ịmara ife ị kwesịrị ime mesie ike na-ebe onye biko ọ na-awachi. Therefore ịmara ife ahụ ị ga-eji nwa aka gị mee ya because aka aja aja ebute ọnụ mmanụ Igbo bụ Igbo kachifon.
Ndewo.
What?